Now the draft is over. You can take your family on a trip. Does it feel like now that you can kind of go, okay, all right. Do you get a little break now?
Well, no. There's no such thing as a break. I figured that out, 2 years ago when I took this job. We'll take a break in June, after OTAs are over and veteran minicamp are over. That's when I'll get about 5 or 6 weeks to get away from my family. But it doesn't slow down for us.
It's interesting. I feel bad for general managers who are rebuilding and they don't have their quarterback yet. I think there's a certain freedom with you. You have Andrew, and you can go really attack other parts of your team. Talk about what Andrew allows you to do going forward.
Well, look, we both know that in this league, having a franchise quarterback's everything. And then the ability to be able to, when you have that player, being able to build around him to the style of not only the quarterback, but also the head coach. That allows you more freedom to be able to explore those avenues and do it through the draft, free agency, street pickups. There's a lot of different ways to acquire talent in this league. I always laugh when people act like free agency and the draft are the only ways to acquire talent. There's many ways to acquire good players in this league. You just got to be looking for them. Yeah. And when you have a quarterback, it allows you to use every avenue.
Yeah. Chris, you're good friends with John Dorsey at Cleveland. The way you're building your culture, I know, and I beat up on Dorsey a little bit, and I love you, but it's interesting because you're very, very tight. Dorsey has taken a few more personality risks in his build. You've taken fewer personality risks. And it's interesting because you kind of have a little different worldview on this. And yet you're very close friends. When you look at Cleveland, what do you see?
Well, look, I'll say this about John. John is an elite talent evaluator. I didn't realize, I always knew it when I worked in Chicago and he was in Green Bay. But when I went and worked side by side with him in Kansas City, he is truly amazing with his ability to recognize talent and then not be scared to go acquire it. And, he really doesn't worry about what the outside world thinks. He worries about what internally, what they think and how they're going to handle it. So, look, I look at a very talented team. I know John's got a plan on how to manage it. And they're definitely a force to be reckoned with because of all the talent he's acquired here in the last 2 years since he's been at the helm.
Last year, you were recognized as having the best draft. You had guys that not only came and played, they were Pro Bowlers. Darius Leonard, Quentin Nelson. It's funny about drafts. You have a bunch of players. You obviously went after speed. Everybody on your board that I saw can run. That was clearly one of the things, even I can figure out. But when you do your drafts, when do you truly know, Chris, all right, this is going to work? Isn't there even this morning a little fear that one guy won't step up? Or when do you know this class works?
Well, look, we put so much on our scouts, and we have such a collaborative effort here in terms of look, the key to the draft is information. That's the key. Whoever gets the best information is usually good at drafting. And that's in every area from, talent evaluation to medical, to character, to intelligence. All those things, have to measure up. And the closer you can get to the whole, the better chance for success you're going to have. And, we always feel good, but there's always, I guarantee if you talk to every team, they're going to say, well, we did great. But at the end of the day, every player you draft has to earn it. They have to come in the building and they have to be what we said they were. Are we going to be 100%? No, that's impossible. But we want to be as close to the whole as we can. And every guy's going to earn it. And even back to like one of the big messages I had to last year's draft class was, okay, this was unbelievable what you just did, but you got to do it again. You can't rest on, not in this league. You got to be pushing forward at all points, trying to get better, or somebody's going to catch you.
I've had 2 NFL general managers tell me that you drafted Paris Campbell right before they did. And both of them said, we just got sick to our stomach when Ballard got Paris Campbell. He is a remarkable athlete. Talk a little about him, because now that you have a quarterback, I look at your class and I think, man, Paris Campbell could be the best guy taken after the first round. Give me your thoughts about him, the player, and the process of drafting him.
Well, look, we exhausted Parrish because we went A to Z on him through the process, and we liked him. From coaching to scouting, we all liked him, and he checked all the boxes of everything we stand for. And then sometimes on draft day, you just get lucky. I can't sit here and tell you I thought he was going to be there with the 59th pick of the draft. And I remember looking up around pick 57 and looking at Frank and saying, we probably need to take Parrish now. But look, his skill set fits our offense very well. He's still got some refinement to do, as a route runner, but just because of how they used him at Ohio State. But we'll use him in some of the similar ways. He's very dangerous and explosive with the ball in his hands.
Yep.
So I know Frank and them will work to get the ball in his hands quickly and let him use his God-given talent, in terms of his run ability and explosiveness with his speed.
It's interesting about wide receivers. I've said this before. I can point to 7 or 8 all-time great ones that actually Marvin Harrison left the Colts and they went to the Super Bowl, and Tio and Dez and Ocho, that receivers are valuable, but it's sometimes, if a receiver is so gifted, a quarterback can feel almost a burden to get them the ball. So I've always said I like receivers, but I'd rather have centers out than sideline in to build my team. Give me that's my goofy theory about it. Or some people believe it's become a wide receiver league. Where do you fall on receivers in general?
Well, look, the great ones don't just fall off a tree. I think it's the hardest. I think it's one of the hardest positions to evaluate.
Why?
Every year it's overgraded. You go into when we go into our draft meetings in February, I'll look up, and every position has a pretty even number, and then all of a sudden we'll have 500 receivers graded. And then you've got to sort through them because in college, they're throwing the ball so much. There's a ton of guys that have 80 to 100 catches a year.
Yeah.
So I think it's very difficult to evaluate the position, and then what they're going to have to do at our level, I think is different. They're not going to get the same free access that they do in college football. Saying that, I've always believed that you build from inside out. You build with your fronts. The bigs are the hard ones to find. Over the course of a season, if you're not good on the O-line and D-line, it will absolutely show up and it will bite you. And I think that's where you start, and then you build from without, on your outsides. And that's kind of how the plan we've taken it here. And it's been successful, other places I've been. I think you can look through the league. And I think when you got a really good quarterback, does he want alpha stars at wideout? Absolutely, he would like them. But saying that, he wants to be protected first.
Are you ever blown away by Brady? I just saw a picture of Brady at UCLA working out yesterday. I think he's now 29 years old. He looks younger. What are people that face Brady? What are you guys saying you're building about Brady?
Special. Tom Brady's I think you can take in any sport. He might be one of the best athletes ever. And I don't know how anybody can dispute that. Even looking at Jordan and all the LeBron and all the great things that they've done, Brady's still doing it in his 40s. That is pretty amazing what Tom's been able to do. And, we're like every other team. You want to beat him. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah. Chris, good luck to you. Executive of the Year last year. Another great draft. Most believe it's a top 5 draft again. Continued success. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Colin.
Yeah, my Colts. Well, they're Chris's Colts, but they're my Colts. I think my takeaway is they have traits. I think they're the next Patriots. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 8 Super Bowls, but if they have, and I really believe this, your division is so big in football. Don't kid yourself. A lot of Nick Saban's success is the SEC